Please work. Please work. I'm going to go ahead and set up my palette. Hopefully this week will rejoin. Should be a notification when you're ready. The colors I'm using so far are raw sienna, or not burnt sienna, sorry. Burnt sienna, raw umber, dial-eyed yellow, and brown. Every palette's gonna have different colors, so it's okay if yours don't match up. I used burnt sienna. This is raw sienna. Sorry, I didn't already say that. That's where I'm every day this week is gonna be Monday. Some azo yellow. I'm just going with these colors because based on the painting that we're actually going to be working on a little later. Gold. To check to see. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and record this for you. I just got the email saying you were going to sign off. First of all, we're going to work on doing our focus. And I'm sorry about all the technical issues. Today, we are going to do, so I suck at getting the right tape. Okay, we're going to work on some technique first. I'm going to move my palette out of the way so that we can get this better. Okay, so the first thing is you need 2 cups of water. One will be your clean cup, and one will be the one you rinse off with. So when you want clean water, you want to get it out of this one, and when you want to clean off your brush, you use this one. So, oh, there you are. Hey. Okay. Hopefully this is gonna work, okay? Disconnecting the audio. Okay. I hope that finally works. It says you didn't connect to the audio. Okay, well, this is gonna be recorded even if you can't hear. So I'll go ahead and send you the link after if you want. This is gonna be wet on wet. This is gonna be wet on dry. And then we'll go from there. Okay, so first for wet on wet, you wanna put water down on your canvas, or on your paper. It's always important to try to get at least a 140-pound paper. It doesn't actually, you should probably start out with like something like Canson XLs, which is what this paper is. You can move to full cotton, 100% cotton at some point when you're more advanced. And so, since this is wet on wet, we're gonna take our palette, which I've got the colors for the landscape that we're gonna do in this session that we're gonna work on later. So, let's see, we're gonna take this and we're gonna all of this. We'll take a little bit of this and see how it just kind of spreads when it's wet on wet. Generally speaking, you only want to swipe in one way, but I'm a little out of practice. I hurt my wrist last year. No good. Couldn't paint for like a year. Kind of sucks. But so this is what it looks like when you do wet on wet, and you're just pulling it down on the water, and the water helps spread. If you have too much water, it will do these things called blooms, which can be really pretty, but they can also ruin any kind of effects you're going for. Also, this is a number 8 round brush, which is one of the most common things in like watercolor paint is a round number 8. You can do just about anything with it except for details, and for that, you use a liner brush. See? Nice. Okay. So the next technique you need to do in watercolor is the wet on dry. Notice how it's more opaque. That's because you don't have the water blending it out. Get a little too much paint on my brush. That will make it kind of messy. Notice how that kind of like splinters out. That's because I put it on wet, because I put it over the already existing color. In case you didn't hear earlier, this is dialide yellow. Okay. Cleaning off my brush. Okay, this time we're going to work on the gradient, which we're going to go ahead and put the water in. Okay. This time I'm going to start with this. Okay, see how it spreads? going to take the color next to it, which is small sienna. Burnt sienna. It is Monday this week, I swear. Okay. And you can always use a rag or a paper towel. The best brand of paper towel to use with watercolor, in my opinion, is actually Viva, because it's a lot like using a nice little piece of cotton to absorb it. Get my brush a little dry here. Okay, now this time we're going to do something where we're going to get, let's put the brush in the right order first. I'm going to be using a straw for this one, which should have been on your list of supplies you need. So first I got to get my two paints of it. Now we're going to take some of the color and drop down here. And pick up with some. Okay. Some Payne's gray. Some Viridian. Can get it to cooperate. There. Some Viridian. Now, you may have noticed that the watercolor gets more opaque as it dries. That's something that you can work with if you want it to be darker. You get it, you put more layers in, and it builds the color. It's more intense. This is neutral tint, I believe. Okay. Now, I'm going to take my big straw and go, see? Make a mess up here. Not making messes, are you making art? We're gonna test another color trick out here. We're going to add a little of this gray. If I go too fast, this is going to be recorded and put up on our How YouTube, and I will send it to you. Or you can find it on there once it's up there and you're really like, oh my gosh, I've already got this up here. But you can rewatch. I just want to make sure I get everything that I'm supposed to cover before we start working on our first masterpiece. And each week we're going to be doing something a little different. Okay, we're going to let that dry a little bit, and then we'll remove the salt to see what the texture is. Okay. I'm going to put my water really quick. Looks like Seminole Dr. Yay! We're going to go ahead, move on. We'll take this off later and see what's underneath. The reason that you take off your paper, in this case, it was to give us some equal areas to work with, but you also do it to keep your paper from buckling. When paper buckles, it makes it all look kind of nasty. Some people think it's just the edges. No. I think it's that paper's working all smooth and stuff. And now we get to see how awful I am at taping. Hoping that you have some watercolor pencils with you. Gotta make this next part quite a bit easier, because we are going to kind of draw the watercolor pencil. Okay, so our color scheme show you, if you missed me listing the colors earlier, it is diarylide yellow, and yes, I can butcher that rather well. Okay, we have raw sienna, burnt sienna, raw umber, Van Dyke brown, Hanesbury, usual tint, and nickel azo yellow. Got to put down the quinacridone gold. Okay. Quinacridone gold. Nice save, right? We have cadmium yellow. Also forgot to put down. And this one is cadmium yellow primrose. You may have a different kind of cadmium yellow. There are so many different versions of some of these colors. It amaze you. Okay. Oh. I was trying to figure out the green gold, which is kind of like the color of spinach baby food. So, you know, that nice, fun color. This is Viridian green. We're using it too. And saffron, which if you've ever watched, isn't it Casey Golden? She calls it poop green. Nice and nice. easy, even in that online classes. Nice to know that some traditions continue no matter what. Okay, first, we're gonna create a wash up at the top for wet on wet for our sky. Okay, this is a painting around. That was fun. Around sunset. So the sky is not going to be blue, which you may have already figured out by our lack of blue. So, now, since we're going to be doing basically a wash across a fairly large sheet of paper, you can get larger, but I don't. This is my favorite size. It's not much. The easiest one to find anywhere. Not really the favorite thing. It's my go-to. So we're gonna go with kind of gold. Sky in this painting is kind of goldeny brown color. So we're gonna start with the gold. Because you can always add more if it's too bright. But if it's too dark, you can't really take that away, especially when you don't have any paper towels. One of life's most important goals is let's have paper towels. We will be layering during this, but we want to get this light goldish color into the sky first. Now, we are going to do the basic color for the bottom, which is going to be a bit of the blue. It's the nickel, isn't it? Let's check and see what class gets. It's the nickel, isn't it? That is the color. So maybe you're wondering why we're doing this in a similar color shift there. But it's like I already said. You can always start with white and add more to it. You cannot take it away, especially with exceptionals. And that's going to become a running joke probably, that I don't have paper towels. Now, I'm going to wait for that to dry a little bit. And then we're going to start drawing. Fun. So, I'm going to go ahead and start getting my colors. I use Arteza watercolor pencils, but you can use whatever brand you have. Or if you don't have any, you can get some at some point and use them. It helps making details and other things a lot easier. And I will run through the colors. I've got them all out. Now there's a regular pencil in here. Okay, so the colors that I have in my pencils are charcoal gray, jungle green, burnt ochre, turmeric yellow, turmeric yellow, cocoa brown, dark chocolate brown, ginger, rust red, sienna brown, and camel brown. Now, if yours are not those colors, that's perfectly normal because Arteza likes to use names for colors that nobody else uses, and I'm really not sure why. So, let's get started. First, we're going to do the ground. Now, this is kind of, if you've ever seen like pictures of like Irish hills in Scotland and the Highlands there, these kind of look like those, but it's a dark yellowish. They've got more of a golden brown hue to them. Okay, so we're going to be drawing these. And this is basically the horizon. We're going to start with that. And go in and add more detail as we go. Now, if you've actually been to Scotland and this doesn't actually look like it, or Ireland, then keep in mind I am very uncultured and have never been those places, so I don't really know what they look like in person. But I want to. Okay. And then when you do paintings, you normally need to have a value card, which is going to be where you know where your lightest and darkest areas are. Now for this one, we're not going to do one. And for later ones, we will try to. But I'm not the best at remembering to make my value cards. And it's okay, because not every artist does. It's okay too. Now, because we've done this one, we're going to go in with our lovely shades of green and gold. And just work on filling in this part of our picture first. Okay. Just green gold is very similar. I'll add more in later to help get it down to the right shade of green. Now, you may be wondering why I'm using watercolor pencils to do the sketching instead of regular pencils. Regular pencils, the graphite, once you put water on it, it basically seals the color in of the graphite. So you end up with lovely paintings that you can see the sketches on. With watercolor pencils, it basically kind of melts or blends into it like watercolor paint does. So you may see some of the edges, but they're about the same color, so it all looks like it goes together. Now, back to values. If something is in the distance, it is lighter. Think of pictures of like Mount St. Helens, Mount Fuji, something like that. The closer you are to it, the more precise the colors look. The farther you are away, the more of a ghostly appearance they have. Which is another reason we start with lighter colors. Because that's how we see the colors in the world too. We see them lighter the further they are. The closer they are, the less distortion there is in the color. Now see, that's kind of a wet on dry right there. This is all basically wet on dry because we waited until this part has dried. Okay. Now, we're going to take some more green. We're going to work in right here. And why am I not sketching this with pencils? Because this will be the darkest spot of anything that we draw. This part will probably be a little darker in here, but we want to get this little dip right here in to help give us some perspective while we're painting. And the line is not going to always give you that perspective. Okay. Over here, we're going to draw this in like this. This is just kind of some bumps in the grass. Okay. This is so we know when we go back through what shapes we're going to go with. Okay. And we'll build it up. Going to take the jungle green again, draw in some more. You don't have to do them the same size or length as I do. Just go with what you think this is going to look like. Because it's all about how you perceive it too. All of your art will always be part of you. So I can only give you basic instructions on how you are going to see, how you and I are going to make the same sort of color come to life. And unlike, say, Ross video. This video is not going to have any little trees in it. Just because this painting doesn't really need trees. If you want to add trees in, you can. But when I was drawing it, I was like, no, no trees are necessary. Add some green. Oh, I need to grab the wrong color. This is one of those Bob Ross happy little accidents. Happy accidents. You just go with the flow. Don't stress over it. Just let it flow. Almost something a little bit here. Let's try to bring that in. Notice how it kind of blends in with some sap green and with some of our earlier nickel yellow. And that's what it's supposed to be. There are some who say that watercolor is the most unforgiving medium. But personally, I think it's the most forgiving. Because even when you get way too much yellow going there, all you have to do is come in a little another color and work in. And just kind of blends the way into what you want. Add in a little extra water and see how that softens it. I could say I meant to make that kind of accident, but it's just one of the fun things about it. Accidents don't have to look like accidents. But helps if I don't get my arm with the camera. before we go in and add in this section, we're going to let this part dry. And I'm going to take a little bit of my salt, which is just table salt, and work it in to some of the water spots. Because I think that those would be some good spots for the extra texture. Now we're going to do some work on the sky. So, I'm going to take my camel brown. I'm going to draw what is supposed to be, at least, a cloud. This particular pencil is kind of pain sometimes. It will not stay in place. No matter how many times I fix it. So, over here, we'll do ginger, like me. And we will draw another cloud right here. We won't give it the same level of detail. We're just going to draw it like that. And we're going to draw one right over here. That same kind of easy flow, almost like you can see the width of that. But you almost can actually pay attention to. Okay. And go ahead. And right in here, we're gonna draw this little bitty dot. That's basically the sun, right? Yeah. I've got my burnt ochre. Ochre is a common color in watercolor and in other forms of paint, other art mediums, that usually is found around the brown and the others. Probably means something in this. Push through. Ease those lines in. We'll build them back up. But we're not going to work on the yellow yet. Just some dots. I think our background needs a few more lines in it. So I'm going to take the jungle green. I'm going to build in a few more in. Here. Kind of some rolling hills. Maybe that's just the Appalachian in me. I'm going to draw some of those in here. Just to give us a little depth. I'm going to draw this down through here. Put that in. Kind of lock those lines in place. So that our next job of layering will intensify. this is going to be our darkest hill area. So we're going to go in, some of our green, and work that back in. Build that green. And if you see little spots in your paint, like this, that just kind of roll off, it could be that your paper is not that great a quality, or it may be that your paints have some sediment to it. There's some paint leaves a lot of pigment behind, like, and it doesn't mean it's bad paint. There are some really fine paints that leave behind little bits. In this case, even though the paint I'm using is really good, it's actually the paper. It's just flaking a little as it's wet. But that's okay. We're going to work with it. Now mix some of the green gold and the green, or the soft green. Lightly. Right here. I'm going with some brown over that. I want this to be a little more dirty. And that in the clean water. I'll probably have to clean the clean water out pretty soon. More green. And with these, we are going to take some burnt sienna. We're going to add in some of our yellow. I'm going to take some of our green, mix them, put it into that color there. It's a little lighter back here. Add another slight wash on it. Okay. Tiny bit more green. Put that on. That one. We're going to take some of our clean water. And we're going to put it right here. Okay. Now we're going to take our little paintbrush, move that in, wash it off. And this one, wash it off. And this one, wash it off. And this one, wash it off. We're going to do 2 drops of that one. Okay. It's going to give us a very fine wash. We're going to go in right there. That is going to be our lightest bag for it, which means that when we do all of these, we're going to get them darker. So now, we're doing this one. Add a second. Wash over. Now we're going to take some of this, come back down over here, a little bit of the green gold. Move our salt off. If you don't have any salt, you don't have to move it off. See those nice little details. Okay. I'm going to drop a little bit of brown in here. Can be any of the shades of brown. You may not have the same shades of brown as me, and that's fine. I'm just making these into little areas. Where there's just some patchy grass. Get some more pigment here. some pigment back in here. Okay. While we wait for those to dry, we're going to very carefully work on the sky some more. Snip it. Shifty. Right here. That nice golden color. And then we're going to make them a bit more opaque. See how vivid that is? These are going to be the darkest values in the sky. Keep in mind, the dark value does not necessarily mean that the color is black. It just means it's more vivid. It's closer to its fully opaque version. So we'll see into this one here and this one right here. So just want those a bit more intense. And I'm going to take the dial-eyed yellow. I'm going to start working it into the sky. And it's okay if the clouds kind of blend into it. If they do it a little too much, just wrap it up. Okay. Okay, if the yellow gets into the sun, just try not to get it in completely because we've still got to work on that in a little bit. Now we're going to put the dial-eyed yellow here into the top. And part of why this looks more intense is that it's wet on dry technically. And part of it is that we've already got that solid base coat from the wash that we did at the very beginning. That makes it all the more intense. Okay. Smooth that. Again, dab in it. And if you have sort of light areas in the sky, that's fine, because the sky does that. The sky is not one pure shade usually, unless it's like the middle of the day. It's really clear out. And then it is, or it's the middle of the night. Although technically when it's the middle of the night, it's black, and black is not considered a color according to physics. But you know, science. I like science, but I also kind of like, well, you gotta mess with the colors. Okay, so we have some Payne's gray that we're going to mix with some of the green so that we can do some hue, some shadowy effects down here. So we're only going to do it very lightly. As you grow more accustomed to watercolors, you're going to use less and less paint colors for each picture probably, because it's actually better to use a limited palette for most things and just draw the colors out of the few colors you use. For this, we're using a lot of colors, in part because it's a beginner class, and because at sunset and at sunrise, there seem to be more magnificent colors that come out, ones that we can't really make seem as vivid as they truly are. I know, this part's gonna look a little bit more dark. We're gonna go in the water. We're gonna drip some water on it. Clean water. And that is going to help us spread it through this whole little area. There will be some dark spots down here. I'm going for clean out my water again. I'm going to clean out the water too. And I've done this day. Clean up my brush. Now, where were we? Take some of this. It's the sap green. And it's in here. Because my brush is very light, and that will make it a lot easier to bring the color in here. This is not the sap green that is mixed with the Payne's gray. It's just pure sap green. The tannish brown color. Mix it, some gold, and a little bit of sap green. And get some more water. Drop it into the color to dilute it. A little more brown. And brush, drop it in. Now, I color. So, I can color in this. Blend some. And I'm going to take that same color, pull it up in here. Okay. And that with gray in it. In here. Some in here. Okay, good, sorry. Some more plain water. Drop some of the rose in it and need to further the vivification, something of the clouds to make them a little bit more bright. So I've got color about this. Okay. Just gonna wash it into those clouds. some saffron. And here. And this is dark. I'm going to take some of the gray. Put that same color down at the bottom. Notice how this takes a lot of layering. I'm just lightly taking some of the green gray mixture, working it in across the paper. I'm going to start working on more of the sun, but this time we're bringing in not only the color right here, but we're going to fill it in. We're going to draw little dashes through here. These are going to mark spaces where later we're going to drop tiny droplets of yellow to give little sunburst effect that will help give our painting the last of its oomph, I guess. Now, remember earlier the dark chocolate brown? Well, we're going to take it. We're going to put some right here on the little edges. Down here. Remember, these work great for giving us details. Here, and here, here. Okay. Now we're going to take this cocoa brown, lightly color right there, and right here, some right here. We'll take the ginger. Too much right now. I'll dab that up. Some people use heat guns or what are they called? Hair dryers. Help bring that in. We're going to add in some of the ginger right here. Give that a little more depth. And a little of the turmeric yellow. Just going to go through here. I know we're using that also for the sun, but we're going to just kind of add in a little of the jungle green on top of that. So that blend it out. I'm going to take the charcoal gray, put it on this edge right here, and over here, and right here. Then I'm going to put some rust red up here at the top of the spot. And this color right here. And then and right here. And then we have the sienna brown. Over this. And cover right here. The opposite edges from where you have the darker browns. Add this in. And wet it. It'll bring out a little more to life. And add in the green apparently not. Can I get my moss green out? Right here, just anywhere where you think needs a little bit of life from this. Now, take the jungle green again. And right here. Take our wash brush and brush over that. Take the wash brush over here and brush over here. Notice how they're all coming together a little more. Sorry. Now, what we're going to do, make sure that number 8 round brush is completely clean. Drop some water on our bright cadmium yellow primrose, which we barely used yet, right? Okay. some on. Line brush. This is my number 3. Drop some of those little dashes we put in. If you can't see them anymore, it's okay. Just put them in. There's a little too much water in it. Wasn't like kind of glossy. It's okay. We're going for the sun rays, so that's kind of necessary. Now, I'm going to have to change positions, so do this. You're going to start right there. The straw and go. Yeah. This is one of our last steps. Before we close, we need to even out that sky right in there. So I'm going to get some of the diorite yellow. I'm going to go in, cover up part of the line. So that it kind of paint that right in here. Do that here too. See? If you want more that yellow popping through, you can add some more in if you'd like. I'm pretty happy with mine. Gonna add a little more green in here. Kind of weird. I'm not a big fan of green, but this painting is mostly green. Add some moss in. Because I want these to just look a little more like they pop. Special little camel brown. To do a kind of a turn to get some of that off. Take some of that tan color. Yeah. That is what we were working on today. If you want, you can sign your name on your paper. Put in this corner down here, and then sign my pencil. Okay. Take our tables. Yeah, I'm not very good at doing straight lines. But that's okay. So this is what basically selfie stick. There. This is mine. If you'd like, you can send me a copy of yours, or if you have any questions, let me know, and I will do my best to answer them. The class meets again next week, and I will try not to have as many technical issues then. Just let me know if you have any questions, and I will answer them. And I guess that's all for now. Thanks. You have a good week.